at just a little bit of the next chapter here. So chapter 3, a little bit of cliffhanger there. I'd like to take this opportunity to point out something important. Should a strange old man of questionable sanity show up at your door, suggesting that he is your grandfather and that you should accompany him on some quest of mystical import, you should flatly refuse him. Don't take his candy either. Unfortunately, as you will soon see, I was quickly forced to break this rule. Please don't hold it against me. It was done under duress. I'm really not used to being shot at. I walked tiredly into the kitchen, which still smelled of smoke, hoping that the strange old man wouldn't take to pounding on the door. I didn't really want to call the police on him. Not only would I likely break the telephone in the process, I'm particularly bad with phones, but I didn't want the old loon carted away in a police car. That would have been... Alcatraz Smedbury, a voice suddenly asked. I jumped, turning from the half-burned cupboard, a box of cornflakes in my hand. A man stood in the doorway behind me, wearing slacks and a button-down shirt. I frowned, realizing I recognized the symbol on the man's shirt pocket and the standard issue attaché case. He was a foster care caseworker. This was the man that Miss Fletcher had sent to pick me up from the house. I realized then that I'd left the front door open. The caseworker must have come inside looking for me while I was upstairs chatting with the lunatic. Hi, I said, putting down the box. I'll be ready in a bit. Let me have breakfast first. You're him then? The caseworker asked, adjusting his horn-rimmed glasses. The Smedbury kid? I nodded. Good, the man said, then pulled a gun out of his attaché case and raised it towards me. It had a silencer on the barrel. I froze, shocked. And don't try to claim that you did anything different the first time a government bureaucrat pulled a gun on you. Fortunately, I eventually found my tongue. Wait, I said, raising my hands. What are you doing? Thanks for the sands, kid, the man said, then moved as if to pull the trigger. At that moment, something massive crashed through the wall of my house. Something that looked a lot like the front end of an old Model T Ford. I cried out, dodging to the side, and the caseworker stumbled to the ground in the chaos. The man who called himself Grandpa Smedbury sat happily in the driver's seat. A chunk of smoke-damaged ceiling fell down onto the hood of the car, throwing up a puff of white dust. The old man poked his head out the window. Lad, he said, might I point out that you have two choices right now. You can get in the car with me, or you can stay there with the man holding the gun. I stood, dazed. You really don't have much time to decide, Grandpa Smedbury said, leaning on me, speaking in a kind of half-whisper as if he were sharing some sort of great secret. Now, I'd like to pause here and note that Grandpa Smedbury was lying to me. I didn't have only two choices at that point. I had quite a few more than that. True, I could have chosen to stay in the room and get shot. I could have chosen to get in the car. However, there were lots of other things I could have done. For instance, I could have run around the house flapping my arms and pretending that I was a penguin. The logical choice to make in this situation would have been to call the police on both of those maniacs. Unfortunately, I didn't think of penguins or police, and instead did as Grandpa Smedbury said, scrambling over and getting into the car. As I've stated at the beginning of this chapter, I really shouldn't have done this. I was soon to learn the dangers involved in following strange men on quests. I don't want to give away any more of the story, but let me say that my fate at this point took a sharp turn towards altars, sacrifices, and evil librarians, and possibly some sharks. So, just a little bit of a teaser from Alcatraz versus the evil librarians. He does go on to have some really wonderful adventures, and if you do want to find out what happens to that altar of outdated encyclopedias, well, you'll have to read for yourself.